The story starts in your great-grandfather's glory days where we see some demi-humans are being told to hurry up with their work. But then a merchant named Banaza thanked them for their work and offered them some money so they could have a good meal. Initially, the worker tried to refuse because they were demi-humans, but Banaza didn't care about that. He insisted they take the money, and they soon thanked him for being so kind. However, the other merchants thought Banaza was strange for giving money to demi-humans, but Banaza himself didn't understand why they cared so much about someone's race. His assistant, Quinn, also understood what he was trying to do but told the workers that not many people think like him. Suddenly, Banaza felt something weird, and his body started glowing. Then he disappeared and found himself in a whole new world. Everyone in the room thought they had successfully summoned the hero they were looking for, but Banaza didn't get what was happening. He thought there must have been a mistake because he was just a regular merchant. Then an old grandpa called the cardinal explained that they summoned people like Banaza to help fight the Dark Army. They soon gave him a glowing orb to test his powers, while the cardinal explained that the summoned candidates will receive divine abilities. As he placed his hand on the orb started to glow. However, to their surprise, they discovered that Banaza possessed the stats of a regular person. Assuming their summoning had failed, Banaza admitted he wasn't a hero and requested to return to his world. But before anyone could respond, another candidate with maxed out stats stole the spotlight, drawing everyone's attention. While everyone flocked to the impressive new candidate, Banaza was left alone, confused as to why nobody was listening to him. Eventually, he found himself in a carriage, reminiscing about his encounter with the king, who informed him that the gate he entered through was a one-way trip, leaving him stranded in this unfamiliar world. However, acknowledging their error, they offered Banaza shelter in the forest to the north, under the condition that he kept their mistake a secret. During their journey to the forest, Banaza attempted to converse with the demi-human driving the carriage, asking if he was a slave of the king. However, the demi-human explained that slavery didn't exist in their world, emphasizing the equality between humans and demi-humans. But when Banaza asked about their destination, the demi-human closed the window, signaling an end to the conversation. After 20 days of travel, they finally reached the forest, and the lizard man presented Banaza with a magical bag, a gift from the king containing everything he needed to survive for a few days. However, the lizard advised against staying in the forest due to rumors of the Dark Army's presence. Banaza bid farewell to the lizard and checked his bag, pulling out a sword. Suddenly, 3 slimes emerged from the forest and attacked him. However, he quickly realized the sword was nothing special as it broke after just a few hits. Despite his broken sword, Banaza managed to defeat the slimes. Suddenly, a strange symbol suddenly appeared in his stats window, something he'd never seen before. Curious about the symbol, Banaza soon realized that he could communicate with his system that had somehow become his guide. It showed him the spells he had acquired and revealed that his bag was set up with a monster-luring spell, explaining the sudden appearance of the slimes. Suspicious of the king's intentions, Banaza quickly realizes that the king wants him gone. With the system's help, Banaza removed the spell from his bag and decided to find a safe place to stay. However, the system warned him about malicium, a harmful substance left by your mother that contaminated the forest. The system, however, offered to purify the forest using 1/3 of his mana, and Banaza agreed. Suddenly, a massive magic circle appeared, and the forest began to cleanse itself. Soon after the purification spell, the system informed him that he had leveled up multiple times, which shocked Banaza. Meanwhile, at the castle, the princess reprimanded the king for mistreating Banaza, reminding him of the rumors about the Dark Army's camp in the forest he was sent to. Despite her concerns, the king remained calm, not caring about Banaza since he didn't become their hero. Suddenly, a cleric arrives, revealing that they found signs of the highest sacred magic being used. The king immediately assumed their hero had employed the purification spell, hailing him as one of the greatest in history. However, the cleric clarified that the hero was actually in the south, while the purification occurred in the north. Back in the forest, Banaza discovered that he had reached level 367, despite not having slain any monsters apart from the slimes. Puzzled by this, he speculated that experience could also be gained through simply practicing magic. Wondering why the strange symbol hadn't changed, he asked the system to show his mana, only to find it fully restored in a matter of seconds, which made him think that it was very low. Concerned about people recognizing him in the city, a system suggested using a transformation spell. Intrigued by the idea, Banaza agreed and transformed into another man after initially appearing as a girl. With the system's guidance, he learned he could use teleportation magic, which he used to teleport back to the kingdom. Happy to have his magic, Banaza wondered if it was common in this world. But before continuing, he attempted to teleport back to his old world, and it proved futile, so he resolved to earn some money. He headed to an adventurer's guild to seek missions, where the attendant explained the registration rules. Trying to conceal his true identity, he introduced himself as Fleo and soon receives his rank badge, which he was advised to keep with him. While scanning the mission board, Fleo noticed a girl seeking an escort to the Della Zava forest, offering payment. However, due to the forest's reputation for being infested with demons, none of the adventurers were willing to accept the job, except for Fleo, who happily volunteered, assuring her that he could teleport her there safely. Upon hearing Fleo's words, everyone was left stunned, unable to comprehend how he could wield such advanced magic. This made a knight named Balerosa intervene, warning Fleo to stay away from the girl. Suspicious of Fleo's suspicious claims, the other girls deemed him a creep. However, Fleo insisted on proving his abilities and suggested that they go with them. After going outside, Fleo executed his teleportation spell, transporting them to the distant Delaveza forest. The girls were astounded, which made the mage Balano question whether Fleo was a high arch-wizard. However, Fleo humbly admitted that he was just a beginner adventurer, and Balerosa then apologized for doubting him. However, the little girl soon notices the sudden disappearance of Melitium in the forest. Wanting to share his deed, Fleo was quickly warned by the system not to disclose information to a demon. Suddenly, the adventurers drew their weapons, surrounding the girl as Balerosa revealed the girl's real identity. The girl, now revealed as Fenris, the younger sister of Fengaril, one of the four infernals, explained their purpose of observing the enemy. She proceeds to release her Melitium, which soon affects everyone, except for Fleo. Unfazed by this, Fenris attempts to devour them, but Fleo swiftly dodges and teleports the others to safety. But despite Fenris' threat of devouring him, Fleo refused to back down, determined to make his mark in this unfamiliar world. He braces himself for the impending battle, resolved to use all his spells to defeat Fenris. As she charged, he erected an earth wall for defense and ensnared her in a whirlwind. Despite her escape attempts, Fleo also employed a gravitational spell, rendering her completely immobile. The system then suggested subjugating Fenris with a spell, but Fleo refused, rejecting the idea of bringing slavery to this world. After exhausting all her mana in an attempt to escape, Fenris surrenders. Convinced that a fallen warrior had no place in this world, she told Fleo to end her life. However, Fleo expresses his reluctance to kill her, disregarding her demonic nature and emphasizing his refusal to harm a surrendered foe. Moved by Fleo's words, Fenris reverted to her human form, only to find herself in her peak form. Seeing this, Fleo quickly covered her with his cloak and promised to let her leave if she promised to stop fighting humans. However, due to severe exhaustion, Fenris suddenly fainted. Reflecting on his newfound mastery of high-level magic, Fleo pondered his extraordinary abilities. Upon awakening, Fenris acknowledged her defeat and expressed gratitude for Fleo's mercy, recognizing that she would have been finished if she were to lose to someone else. Promising never to harm humans again, she declared Fleo as her master, though he quickly declines the offer. Despite her insistence, Fleo stood firm, permitting her to travel freely. Refusing to accept Fleo's rejection, Fenris threatened to end her own life, prompting Fleo to accept the offer, allowing her to accompany him on his journey. Overjoyed by his decision, Fenris pledged her loyalty, stating the instinctual bond between wolves and their masters. Meanwhile, in the castle, the king asks about the battle with the Dark Army, bewildered by the defeat of his knights. The hero, however, attributed their failure to the knights' weakness, citing their break in formation upon encountering a demonic beast. However, despite being the hero, the king learned that the knight had fled the battlefield altogether, further frustrating him. Back at the castle, the hero analyzed his stats, confused by the lack of improvement despite a month of training. Convinced of his capability to defeat only weak magical beasts, he questioned his lack of acquired skills. His servant Suya then arrived for duty, providing a welcome distraction. The following day, Fleo and Fenris ventured into the city, intending to register at the Adventurers Guild. Mistaken for a couple by a passing merchant, they entertained the idea to avoid arousing suspicion during their travels. Fenris even joked about becoming his wife, expressing her desire to remain by his side forever. Upon reaching the guild, the attendant asked Fenris for her name, which almost caused her to reveal her true identity before Fleo intervened. He then registered her under the alias Riz. Suddenly, an urgent mission was announced, which was to eliminate a herd of psychotic bears in the north, with a significantly increased reward. Despite their initial hesitation, Fenris urged Fleo to accept the quest, confident in her ability to handle the bears alone. Teleporting to the designated area, Fenris eagerly prepared for the hunt, only to stumble upon a group of girls surrounded by the bears. Fenris suggested ignoring them, blaming them for being weak. However, Fleo hesitated as he witnessed the dire situation unfold, realizing the girls were no match for the ferocious bears. He cast a lightning spell which decimated most of the bears, with one last remaining continuing to attack Balano. However, Fenris swiftly took it down, saving their lives once again. Grateful for his intervention, the girls expressed relief at Fleo's safety and voiced concerns about the risks he faced. Fleo then introduced Fenris as his travel companion, however, left her disheartened as she had hoped to be introduced as his wife. Suddenly, a bear emerged behind Fenris, but her fierce glare intimidated it, causing it to collapse in fear. Taking pity on the trembling bear, Fenris decided to make it her pet, shocking the girls. Activating a restraint spell, Fleo transformed the bear into a cute creature they named Sabi. Following the chaos, the girls formally introduced themselves. Baileri as the archer, Balirosa as the heavy knight, and Bolano as the group's sorceress. Balirosa then requested for Fleo to train them in order to fight alongside the hero. She explained how the hero had isolated himself, refusing to fight until finding someone worthy to be his right hand, prompting the king to order everyone to train to his level. However, feeling Fenris's jealous aura, Fleo quickly clarified that she was, in fact, his wife, which instantly lifted her spirits. Grateful, the girls requested another favor, to sleep at the house provided by the guild for safety, to which Fenris eagerly agreed, while suggesting that she sleep beside Fleo due to their marriage. The scene then shifted to the demon castle, where the demon Euliminaz reported to the demon lord about the purification spell cast by a single person. This prompted the demon lord to order the person's immediate capture, curious about the powerful individual behind the spell. The next day, Fleo was confused when he woke up next to Fenris. However, she quickly reminded him that they were married, which made Fleo remember their talk from the night before when Fenris said she was ready to be his partner in everything. This flustered him and he tried to sleep in the hallway, but Fenris said it would look weird to the other girls, so he stayed in the room with her. Then Fenris made Fleo change his clothes, but to their surprise, Balirosa suddenly walked in on them, which embarrassed everyone. Later, Balirosa tried to fight a big boar but got scared and ran away. Fenris then told Bolano to protect the others with magic, but Blomas's arrow didn't help either. When their magic ran out, they all ran away, leaving Fleo thinking about how hard it would be to train them. After that, Fleo showed them their rooms, telling everyone that he bought the house with the money they earned from hunting boars. It was time for lunch, where Fenris made food for everyone, but to everyone's surprise, she served them raw meat. This prompted Fleo to take over the cooking, but Fenris still argued that fresh meat was best eaten raw. Everyone enjoyed the meal that Fleo's cooked, and Fenris even said that she eat anything he made, including cooked meat, which surprised everyone. When they went back to the guild, people were amazed they kept bringing back more boars. While waiting to get their payment assessed, Fenris told Fleo that she wanted to go somewhere but didn't want Fleo to follow her. Suddenly, the person at the guild, Leolith, told Fleo that he had something to tell him. Leolith then told Fleo that his deeds were the talk of the guild and even the town, which made him realize that he might have been attracting too much attention. Leolith explained that there was a request for Fleo to help the hero, and if he agreed, the king would make him an honorary knight. Even the other adventurers were impressed by how Fleo and Fenris could defeat so many powerful magic beasts together. Leolith wanted Fleo to help the king as he has the chance to use his power to save the world. While Fleo thought it might be the greatest honor in this world, he didn't have any reason to fight the demons, so he turned down the offer. Moments later, he was met with Fenris, who was in bad shape, but she tried to hide what actually happened. Turns out, she tried to learn cooking on her own but found it very difficult, as she wanted to take cooking lessons to win Fleo's heart. Meanwhile, the hero heard about an adventurer who was defeating many magic beasts, and he wanted to recruit them as his right-hand person to fight against the Dark One. However, a month later, Fleo had already rejected the king's offer several times. Fenris wanted to threaten them to stop asking, but Fleo suggested that they focus on training. They then found Blossom working hard on the farm, but Fleo wished she put that effort into training. On the other hand, Fenris tried to get Bolano to hit a target on a tree, but she felt sorry for it. Fleo then gave her a magic ring to increase her magic capacity, and Fenris warned her not to put it on her ring finger. Not long after, Balirosa got into trouble, calling out to Fleo for help, but Fenris rescued her instead, seeing through her act of pretending to be weak to appeal to Fleo. However, during dinner, Fenris managed to impress everyone with her cooking. She then revealed that she had been attending cooking classes while Fleo went to the guild. Fenris used to only care about her strength, but now she found joy in doing other things too. This time she made curry for Fleo, following her teacher's advice that it's the key to a man's heart. Fleo loved it, making Fenris ecstatic. However, they don't realize that someone outside watched them in shock, surprised to see Fenris with humans, as the once feared woman warrior of the Dark Army was now questioned whether she had betrayed them. She then confronted the demon Euliminaz, who claimed to be surveying the area. Fenris was upset when Euliminaz hinted at coming between her and Fleo. However, Euliminaz realizes that Fleo was remarkably calm despite her presence. What puzzled her even more was her inability to assess Fleo's power level, unlike with others. She was shocked to learn that Fleo was responsible for purifying the forest, even eliminating Fenrir's brother and his unit. Turns out, Fenrir knew this but believed her brother's fate was his own fault. She admitted to being charmed by Fleo's power, choosing him as her husband. The other girls overheard their conversation and were shocked to learn Fenrir's true identity. Eulimenes, however, acknowledged Fleo as a serious threat to the Dark Army for turning Fenrir against them. Intrigued by Fleo's power, Eulimenes proposed a mock battle, secretly planning to eliminate them both while doing so. Fenrir, however, saw through her intentions but still agreed to the battle. As soon as they went outside, Eulimenes attacked with magic spells from above and below, but Fleo quickly countered with a force cancellation spell. Fleo captures Eulimenes, ensuring that she wouldn't target Fenrir, prompting her to surrender. The next day, after realizing Fenrir's true identity, the girls decided not to report her to the kingdom. Fleo was surprised but grateful for their loyalty. However, Eulimenes soon returned with the Dark Army's legion of dragons, terrifying the girls. Fleo was excited to see dragons for the first time in his life, as they existed in his old world, but he'd never seen them before. Using his impressive holy magic, Fleo struck down several dragons, stunning Eulimenes, who retreated in disbelief. Blossom wished she tried throwing your mother at the dragons, so Fleo suggested she try throwing the one she's holding. Using augmentation magic, he enhanced her mother, helping her earn the title of Dragon Slayer. Inspired by this, the girls asked Fleo to help them do the same, but the dragons had already run away. Meanwhile, the Dark One couldn't believe Fleo, a mere adventurer, could wield such powerful magic. Following these events, Fleo then put up a barrier around the house to detect demon attacks. Fenrir, however, got upset thinking about the annoying cat, but Fleo reassured her. Blossom, on the other hand, couldn't stop staring at her screen, overwhelmed by earning the Dragon Slayer title. This caused the other girls to be motivated to train harder daily. The title was so precious as it gives someone the chance to rise to be a noble. However, Banished was in tears, feeling behind as she didn't earn the title. She hoped that by achieving it, she could restore her family's lost noble status and let them live in the capital again, like when her father was a knight. Just then, a guy appeared in the forest claiming to be looking for a friend of his. Banished was skeptical of this guy, as he was lightly equipped in a forest full of magic beasts. He claimed to be looking for Fleo's wife, making Banished suspect he was from the Dark Army. She demanded to know his business with Fleo and pointed her sword at the guy. The guy, however, confessed to being from the Dark Army but said he was only there to check on Fenrir. Before leaving, he left a message for her and revealed his name as Gozo. When Fleo and Fenrir arrived, Banished quickly told them everything. Fenrir instantly recognized the guy and horrible fake name. Fleo then explained that they came because his barrier detected the Dark One. Fleo then reveals to Banished that the guy she met was the Dark One, shocking her. Fenrir also confirms this, explaining his real name was Cole. Banished soon trembled in fear as she raised her sword to him, expecting revenge from him. The next day, Gozo was invited to their home, shocking Banished. He revealed that his visit was related to Eulimenes. Fenrir, however, assumed that he was there for revenge, but he surprised them by asking Fleo to join the Dark Army. Fleo calmly declines, shocking Gozo. Gozo assumed that Fleo opposed the humans since he lives in the forest. However, Fleo explained he didn't want to fight and admitted that he wasn't from this world. He then questions the reason for their war, but Gozo reveals it's unlikely that anyone knows why the war started 500 years ago when the first Dark One arrived, as he, as the current Dark Lord, has no interest in ruling the world. However, Gozo then releases a surge of power, declaring himself as the king of the demons. He will not allow someone who poses such a threat to the demons to fall into human hands, ordering Fleo, advising him to join the Dark Army. But Fleo calmly declines him again, stating that Gozo has overestimated his abilities and that he doesn't intend to pick a side. Impressed by Fleo's determination, Gozo acknowledges his resolve and decides to leave for today. Despite leaving, he assures them that he hasn't given up on recruiting him and comes back the following days. At the castle, the king learns about a mysterious demon visiting Fleo frequently. Furious, he plans to send soldiers to capture Fleo, but the princess advises against it, suggesting they listen to Fleo first to avoid driving him to the Dark Army. However, the king dismisses her suggestion, which was also supported by the hero, who insists on using force to make Fleo obey their orders. Meanwhile, at the demon's castle, Eulimenes warns Gozo about the risks of visiting Fleo's house so often alone. However, Gozo reveals that Fleo is far more understanding than the human king and is determined to convince him to join their cause, believing it's their best chance to gain such a powerful ally. Eulimenes reminds Gozo that their soldiers are awaiting his orders, but Gozo hasn't made a decision yet about when they will make their move. It turns out Euliminus is concerned because some demons have started to speak ill of the Dark One for visiting Fleo so often and wonders if Gozel's visits are worth the risk. Back home, Fleo reveals his plans to sell gear made of dragon scales and shows his prototype. He's determined to make it a successful business to support themselves. But Fenris worries if Fleo's decision to refuse working for the king is the right one, as it would earn them more money and allow him to use his abilities to the fullest. This made her wonder if he's avoiding fighting demons because of her, but Fleo explains it's more about not wanting to fight anyone if he doesn't have to, which made Fenris admire his kindness. Suddenly, the golden-haired hero arrives, and Fleo stops Fenris from attacking him. The hero, however, gives Fleo two options, which was to become his subordinate or be considered as an informant to the Dark Army, which will prompt the hero to defeat him then and there. The hero is pleased with his ultimatum, thinking Fleo was speechless in awe of him. However, Fleo apologizes and refuses to choose his side in the war, which the hero deems traitorous. The girls point out the hero's nonsense, but the hero threatens them, saying they'll only be free if they help him convince Fleo. This made him get serious and suggested leaving to avoid fighting. Fenris is open to the idea, and the other girls agree to go too, realizing that fighting a war is just not right. The hero, however, points out they can't escape the soldiers surrounding them. But Fleo shocks everyone by using a teleportation spell to make them all disappear, along with the house and fields. As they reappear near a town west of the royal capital, everyone is amazed by Fleo's teleportation. Meanwhile, as Gozel arrives, he sees everything gone and blames the humans, causing him to launch an all-out attack on the kingdom. Back with Fleo and the girls, they're relieved to be far from the capital, with Balarosa especially relieved as the Dark One can't find her here. Fleo then apologizes for putting Fenris through all of it, but she's just happy to be by his side. She then declares that she'll make a feast to celebrate their new home, and everyone rushes inside. Thank you for watching the 4th episode's recap of this anime. If you enjoyed this video and want more of it, go ahead and hit that like button down below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Let's grow this community into a huge one and help us reach the goal of hitting 5,000 subscribers.